Hey guys, today I have something interesting to show you. This is a Fulham Workhorse 2 electronic instant start fluorescent lamp ballast. I got this for Christmas, new. Got it on Walmart's website for about $16 total, with free shipping to the local Walmart store. And naturally, there's nothing special about this ballast. It's just electronic instant start ballast like you'd find in many fixtures today. But I bought this thing for a very unusual purpose, and that is to kill worn out fluorescent lamps. Now, when a fluorescent lamp wears out on a preheat or a rapid start ballast, usually, it just gets to a point where it just stops glowing and that's it. But oftentimes, on those worn out lamps, you can put them on an instant start ballast and they will keep working for a short time. Now, probably the best example of this is my battery-powered fluorescent lanterns. The lamps I use in them, they're very worn out, and they work just fine on those lanterns. But if I were to throw those lamps on my preheat fluorescent strip light, for example, they won't light up at all. And that's really one of the merits of an instant start ballast, is the ability to run worn out lamps. And when you put a worn out lamp on an instant start ballast, and if the lamp is worn out enough, man, you get a real show with orange flames flashing up the length of the bulb, and it gets really bright and really hot. You don't want to touch it. And eventually the bulb near the ends will get so hot that the glass just gives up, and the glass usually breaks. A very small hole forms in the glass of the bulb, and it lets the air rush in and the bulb is destroyed. And that's why I bought this ballast. Normally, when I have really worn out lamps, I throw them in my lanterns, and usually, the lantern does a good job. The bulb will work for a short time after that. But even then, the lantern's ballast does not drive the bulb hard enough, and it doesn't have a high enough open circuit voltage to bring the bulb to vacuum loss. That's what it's called, vacuum loss, when the glass gets so hot that a hole forms in it, and the bulb loses vacuum, air rushes in. And also, of course, when a bulb fails, it puts a lot of stress on the ballast, and I didn't want to risk destroying the ballast in one of my vintage lanterns. So that's why I bought this. I bought this for the purpose of basically destroying worn out lamps. Now, of course, when a bulb is worn out, you could just go ahead and throw it in the garbage. But with me, I like a good show. Finish it off with a bang, so to speak. Now, I've already killed some lamps on this ballast, and this thing does a great job. This thing takes them down like nothing, and man, it doesn't care at all. And it fries lamps really fast, and the reason it does that is that right there. This thing has a 600 volt open circuit voltage. That is a lot. In comparison, my battery powered lanterns probably have between 200 and 300 volts open circuit voltage, which is why they're not able to kill lamps to the point where they lose vacuum. But this thing has no problem doing the job, and it does it really well. Now, of course, this thing isn't meant to just kill worn out lamps. It's actually meant to be a useful fluorescent lamp ballast, and it seems to do a half decent job at that as well, as far as instant start ballast goes. And I'll demonstrate that to you with some healthy lamps. Now, many companies make electronic instant start ballasts, but Fulham's are quite interesting, because Fulham's ballasts are rated to run a very wide range of fluorescent lamps. Now, usually, electronic ballasts that you can buy today are basically, particular ballasts are rated for the same ballast that magnetic fluorescent lamp ballasts are rated for. You have electronic ballasts that are rated to run 4, 6, or 8 watt lamps. You might have electronic ballasts that are specified to run 14, 15, and 20 watt lamps. And you might have ballasts that are designed to run 30 and 40 watt lamps. But I don't know how Fulham does it, and maybe they don't do anything special. Maybe it's all just hype. But Fulham lists their ballasts to run a very wide range of lamps. The Workhorse 2, which is what I have here, is rated to run anything from the F4T5, so 4-watt lamp, all the way up to the F20T12 and the F30T8. So anything between 4 and 30 watts. Actually, it specifies up to 35 watts. Between 4 and 35 watts. That's a really wide range. So anything, from a lantern bulb that's this long, all the way up to a 3-foot bulb like that in my F30T12 strip light. Although this particular ballast isn't rated to run the F30T12, it can run the F30T8. Actually, I just remembered this thing's actually specified to run the F32T8, which is a 4-foot bulb. So yeah, really wide range of bulbs, and of course I've only listed the common types of fluorescent lamps. This is also specified to run a wide range of PL lamps, so the U-shaped lamps, as well as circular lamps, and just many different types. Like I said, I don't know if they designed these in such a special way to do it or what, but actually these do have a very special feature. Now if we look at the wires here, now you've got your black wire and your white wire, they connect to power, to your outlet or whatever, and then you have a yellow wire and 2 red wires. And how this works is, what you do is, for your fluorescent lamp, you connect the yellow wire to one side of the lamp, and you can connect either 1 or 2 red wires on the other side. And if you have both red wires connected to the other side, it'll drive the bulb harder than if you have just 1 red wire. And this makes this ballast very versatile. And Fulham has diagrams on their website that tell you whether you should hook 1 or 2 red wires up for a particular lamp. For example, for an F4T5, you have just 1 red wire connected, and you leave the other red wire unconnected. But if you were running an F15T12, you'd have both red wires connected. So it's this modular wire system that allows this thing to make it very versatile. Having 2 red wires connected instead of 1 just puts more current through the lamp. Fulham's larger ballasts in the Workhorse series, they have all the way up to the Workhorse 8, which is a huge ballast, have I think up to 5 red wires. For smaller lamps you'd hook up just 1 red wire, but for the largest lamps you'd hook up all 5. And that's how these things work, and I find it very interesting, and I think it's actually a good idea. As far as I can tell, it seems to work really well. And of course, technically, for a fluorescent lamp, you don't have to go by Fulham's guidelines for how many red wires to hook up. You can hook up as many as you want. And indeed, on Lighting Gallery, I've heard reports from some people who will, connect more red wires for a particular lamp than what they specify, thus overdriving the lamp to get more light, and of course it works just fine. Of course, your lamp life will be shorter, but the ballast doesn't mind at all. And the 2 smallest Workhorse ballasts, the Workhorse 1 and the Workhorse 2, they're the only ones rated to run the 4, 6, and 8 watt T5 lamps. The Workhorse 3 through 8 doesn't support them. So I got the bigger of the 2, the Workhorse 2, since probably most of the lamps that I'll be frying with this thing are 4, 6, and 8 watt lamps. And one feature of this ballast, which I think is very nice, is that while it has no end-of-life protection, which is why it's able to fry worn-out lamps, it does have overcurrent protection. Like I said, this ballast is only rated to power up to 35 watts. The moment whatever it's running tries to draw more than 35 watts, the ballast will shut down, and then a couple of seconds later, it'll start back up. This is really great because, like I said, a worn-out fluorescent lamp tends to draw a lot more power than what it normally would, thus stressing out the ballast. But with this thing, that won't pose a problem. If a worn-out lamp that's about to fry starts drawing a lot of power, the ballast will just shut down and then start back up a little while later. And I exhibited this a couple of times. One lamp that I fried did a couple of times start to draw more than 35 watts of power, and the ballast shut down, and then it started back up, and it only did that a couple of times, and then the lamp lost vacuum. So even, despite this overcurrent protection, it's still able to fry lamps. So that's really great, really reduces the risk, I'd say, of this thing frying itself when it's frying a lamp. So what I'll do now is I will hook this thing up to power, and I'll demonstrate it running a couple of healthy lamps. Alright, I've got everything set up, and how this works is the white and black wires of the power cord just go to the white and black wires of the ballast, and I got the ground wire clipped right to the metal casing of the ballast. And to hook up lamps, I have two wires here. One is connected to the yellow wire, and one is connected to one of the red wires. I have the other red wire just with a cap over it. If I want to switch to both red wires, I can just clip that to both red wires. Now, I don't stress this enough in my videos, but when you're working on stuff like this, you have to be as safe as possible. There's no excuse not to be. When you're, working on stuff like this, the 120 volts alone is enough to do some serious damage to you. And when you're working on something like this, that puts out 600 volts, safety is not an option. You have to do it. And I try to demonstrate that in my videos by setting things like this up in as safe as a manner as possible. Always using wire nuts, and I always make sure, double check, make sure wires aren't touching anything they shouldn't, and stuff like that. So, always be safe when you're doing stuff like this. It's the only thing you can do. Now, with that being said, I have a small selection of lamps to demonstrate for you. I think I'll start with this one here. This is an F4T5DL 4-watt daylight lamp, generic Chinese thing. I got two of these out of a Coleman fluorescent lantern that I got at a yard sale during the summertime. I never showed it to you guys. It really wasn't worth saving, and I don't have it anymore. It worked just fine, but the problem is it was missing a part that was required for it to work, and the rechargeable battery inside it was completely dead. So I just threw away the lantern itself, kept the ballast, and played with that until it blew up, and then threw that away, and I kept the lamps, and both of the lamps I got out of it are in perfect shape. Really strange lamps these, as often these really cheap lamps often are. But with these particular lamps, they work just fine on an electronic ballast. But sometimes when I try one of these lamps on a magnetic ballast, like my preheat strip light, it doesn't run right at all. Sometimes it won't start. Sometimes it starts and then it does a really strange swirling inside it. I don't get why, but these act really weird on a magnetic ballast. But other than that, they are fine and dandy lamps. The color's okay. Really thin phosphor. You can see the cathode structure inside there. But the color's alright, and they're very bright as well. So, I will set the camcorder up on a tripod, then we will connect the lamp and try it. Alright, we're all set up with the 4-watt lamp hooked up. I have the exposure of the camcorder turned way down, just so you don't have to wait for it to adjust when I turn it on. So I'll plug it in. And there you go. Works just fine. Does what an instant start ballast should do in this regard. Now earlier I was talking about the really wide range of lamps that these ballasts are rated to run. And on Lighting Gallery, a lot of people speculate that even though these might be rated to run several lamps, it's probably likely that many of those lamps aren't driven correctly. Well, I've analyzed this, and from my observation it would appear this is partially true. 4-watt lamps are slightly overdriven. Actually, hold on, I got a kilowatt meter here. Mom surprised me with a new kilowatt meter for Christmas after my old one suddenly disappeared while men were working down in the basement. And the ballast does live up to its specification of high power factor. The power factor is 0.92, 0.93-ish. And the total running power is 7.3 watts. So I know the ballast itself uses about 2 watts, so this lamp's getting about 5 watts of power. So it is slightly overdriven, but not bad, and they're certainly not to the extent of the ballast in my preheat strip light, which overdrives lamps very badly to the point where you burn yourself if you touch the lamp. However, 6 and 8 watt lamps do appear to be driven perfectly, and all other larger size lamps that I've tried, they also appear to be driven pretty good. So there you go. Alright, next I have this General Electric F8T5WW, made in 2002 if I remember correctly. I got this lamp in a General Electric under cabinet light fixture that I had many years ago. also based on an electronic instant start ballast. And I threw the fixture away a couple of years after I got it because I thought it had broken. It turned out that this cathode right here had broken, and the ballast in the fixture had end-of-life protection in the form of shutting off when one of the cathodes break. So I threw away a fine and dandy fixture when really I just needed a new bulb. But oh well. So this bulb is slightly worn out. It has a broken cathode. The other cathode is still intact. But it does run alright on this ballast. Sometimes it does exhibit for a very short period of time a bit of anger. I think usually this end will glow a bright blue color for just a second or so, but then it'll settle down and run just fine. Alright, there you go. Again, works just fine. Now what I'll do is I'll zoom in on this cathode here. You might be able to see it glow blue when I start it up for just a second or so. So I'll unplug it and plug it back in. I didn't do it that time. Let me try it again. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries. There's a little bit of blue glow that time. Now here's that same 8-watt lamp with both red wires attached, which is against Fulham's specification of using only one red wire for 8-watt lamps. And by the looks of my naked eye, it actually isn't that much brighter at all, maybe just a little bit brighter. Running wattage is 15 watts. So this 8-watt lamp is getting about 13 watts of power. So, yes, I can see now it's getting a little bit brighter. So it does push a few more watts through the lamp, overdrives it quite a bit. It is getting quite warm, so there you go. 2007 Sylvania F15 T12D, made in Canada. There you go. And of course, works just fine. I am running with both red wires as per Fulham's specifications. Running wattage is about 13 watts, so the lamp is slightly underdriven, but it does otherwise work just fine, and the lamp is driven hard enough that it enters a hot cathode discharge as soon as you turn it on, so no problem really. So now, let's try it on one red wire, which would underdrive it, and see how that works. There you go, that's with one red wire. Wattage is 11 watts, so the lamp's getting about 9 watts of power. Even though it's in a hot cathode discharge, it probably won't last quite as long running like this as it would if it was running with both red wires, 13 watts. But as you can see, it does work. Finally, I have this Lights of America F17T8BLB. This is a blacklight bulb, and I got this bulb from a very cheap Lights of America blacklight fixture I used to have, based on an electronic rapid start ballast that I got for like $15 at Walmart. I got it in grade 11, I believe, for a chemistry project. But as it turned out, the project never actually happened. I forget what happened, but the project had to be cancelled, and so I didn't need the fixture after all. But I kept it, and it always worked. It was cheap as hell, really cheap thing, horrible thin plastic. The switch arced and sparked every time you used it, but it worked just fine. Until one day, I got bored, I decided to start playing with the ballast in it. And I hooked up my, in retrospect, I shouldn't have done that because it's a vintage bulb. I hooked up my 30-watt 1980 Sylvania bulb to the ballast, and it actually ran just fine. But then, I hooked an 8-watt bulb up to the ballast, and the ballast immediately blew up when I plugged it in. And I tried to fix it, but I never did get it working again. So I threw the fixture away, but the bulb is still perfectly fine, so I always kept the bulb, although I really don't want it. So we'll hook this up, and we'll start with 2 red wires and see how it does. Alright, there you go, works just fine. Running wattage is 19 watts, so the bulb's getting 17 watts of power, which is perfect. Now let's try it with one red wire. Running wattage is about 14 watts, so the lamp's getting about 12 watts of power. I see that although it's not rated to run lamps that have built-in starters, like this 13 watt PL lamp, it does run them just fine. And I've got it hooked up to both red wires per Fulham's recommendation for a 13 watt PL, although they specify one that doesn't have a built-in starter, but it works just fine, as you'll see. There it is. Even preheats. If you hook it up to one red wire though, it won't start. PLs are very finicky for needing the right amount of current in order to work. You can see it just preheats. Wow, almost a month that I've owned this ballast, and I just realized they spelt Circline wrong. They spelt T9 Circline right, but then when they get to T5 Circline, they just kind of derp out and spell it CER. I just noticed that now. So there you go. As you've seen, this is quite a fine and dandy ballast. If you want an electronic instant start ballast for actual normal use, although I don't recommend instant start in any application just because it shortens the life of fluorescent lamps so much compared to rapid start or preheat or program start. But if you want to go instant start, I say there's really nothing wrong with one of these Fulham Workhorse ballast, fine and dandy ballast.